Welcome back in, everybody, to Pro Football Plus. I am Ben Parker, as always, joined by Austin Freed. We may or may not catch Shane later on. We knew he was running a little bit behind. He might be having internet problems, so if he gets on, great. If not, we will miss him, but he will be back on next episode for sure. Austin, it's a pleasure to have you on board as always. We're going to hit the Dallas Cowboys in just a second, but first of all, tell everybody what's happening over on Tricky Takes this week.
Yeah, it's baseball season, guys, and we love baseball over there at Tricky Takes. Probably more than in the NFL, I'll just say it. But we're some baseball guys at heart, and we just did our series that is American League and National League previews. So we talk about every division and every team in that division and kind of where they stack up compared to last season, if we're expecting them to improve over the course of the year or kind of go down from what we saw. So if you want to know a little bit more about the baseball season landscape before the season starts this week, then go check out those two episodes.
And I've already heard the American League episode. It's very good, really good synopsis, just kind of taking, I don't know, what, 5 to 10 minutes for each team, chopping on through.
Yep.
Pretty good player coverage and then kind of an overview. It's really good. It's well done. So go check it out. That's Tricky Take Podcast. Please go check it out. All right. The only thing we're doing tonight, the reason all of you have met together with us tonight is the Dallas Cowboys. We will focus on and talk about no other team unless it's to take some random shot at somebody that we all hate, right? But other than that, we're going to hit the Cowboys roster first, and then we'll do a little three-round mock draft as well. So, Austin, I'm going to turn it over to you first. You go any direction you want. Offense, defense, something you like, something you don't. Just grab something and let's get started, man.
Let's start just at the top. They have a really nice group of high-end players that have been paid or are going to get paid, and I really like that. I think it's important for a team these days to have stars on the team, and the Dallas Cowboys absolutely do have stars. You've got CeeDee Lamb on the offense is your big top three probably receiver in the NFL, top five for sure. And then Micah Parsons, who is an absolute beast. I see you have an A minus and an A grade for those two guys, and I think they're both A plus players. If I did my grades, they'd both be A pluses for me. And then you've also got Trayvon Diggs, who is really good in his own right, and Deron Bland, who's very good in his own right, as well as Dak Prescott, who I think is a little bit underrated at this point in his career. He's a
Yeah,
pretty good quarterback.
yeah.
So I like the top end, the stars of the team.
Yeah, I listen, I agree. Um, it reminds me a little bit of the Rams of the late 90s and the early 2000s, where you had a good offense with a defense that was designed to get after the quarterback, create turnovers, was kind of really the two big things they really wanted to do. It's not identical. I'll get more into that here in a second about why it's not the same as those late 90s, early 2000s Rams. But I agree. When you start off with Prescott, Parsons, Diggs, Bland, Lamb, just those five guys, you've got a very good core to work with. They've got some things to address here, and we will talk about that. But that's a great start. Um, Running back, real quick. Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders. It's not great, right? But at least they did something. I mean, right? As opposed to doing nothing. Because I like Javonte Williams when he's healthy, but he's not often healthy. Miles Sanders, I think, is a good backup, but not really your main guy ever. I'm okay with that. Talk to him about the running backs real quick, and then these wide receivers right here: Tolbert, Turpin, and Mingo.
Mhm. Well, I'll tell you what, 2021, I think this would have been just a beast of a running back from here.
Right.
But both of these guys have waned and really lost their luster. So not too much shine here. You need some juice in this backfield, some speed. Neither of these guys provide you really any uh, home run ability, although I do think they both have a little bit of pass catching ability, which I do appreciate. But yeah, I really want a home run threat. Not necessarily, doesn't have to be a three down guy, but just someone who can come in and
Yeah.
uh, really just juice up the backfield, I guess is the best way
Mhm.
to put it up because it's pretty lackluster. The receiving core outside of Lamb, is not that good. I am not a Cavante Turpin fan. He's a great return man. I don't think he provides you that much outside of some good slot work. Jalen Tolbert, I did like, but he had a pretty severe injury. I think he tore his ACL a few years ago, and has not necessarily got on track. And Jonathan Mingo was a prospect that I liked, but I mean, D plus is generous for him at this point in his career. He's really done nothing. So you do need another receiver, I think, in this group as well. Like I said, you have the stars, but the supporting cast is just meh. It needs to be improved.
All right, I'm going to walk through the offensive line real fast because we're a little short on time tonight. We're going to zip through this a little bit quicker here, and then I'm going to come back to you for the tight ends, okay? So here on the offensive line, I've got a cluster of guys. Tyler Guyton, obviously it's still really early, but the returns haven't been great, so they're hoping for a huge step up from him there. Tyler Smith, of course, like him. Cooper Beebe, still early, but love where he looks like he's going to me. Brock Hoffman was a very pleasant surprise kind of late last year. Looks like he may be able to pick up a guard spot there. Terrence Steele can play tackle. I'll put it that way. You would really like for Steele to either be your swing guard or your swing tackle, is really what you would like in an ideal world. So there are players here that I like, but not enough of them. So I would really love to see the Cowboys somewhere in this draft, first, second round, if they can, because we've already mentioned defensive needs in another episode we did. I would love to see them at least get one more tackle here and start putting a little bit of a talent boost here on the tackle side of things. But the interior I like with Smith, Beebe, and Hoffman. I think that's a very good working interior, at least for now. And then let's hope Guyton takes a boost. And then maybe, just maybe in the draft, they can draft a right tackle to compete with Terrence Steele. And maybe that guy can outplay Steele and put Steele back to kind of a good swing tackle slash guard um, a post there for me. And then Jones and Bass are just kind of there on the team, to be honest. Tight ends, Ferguson and Schoonmaker.
I like both these tight ends. I think these are both really solid inline, well-rounded tight ends. If you need them to block, they'll do that. If you need them to pass catch, they'll do that. They have sure hands. This is the kind of the Cowboys type at tight end. They always have this kind. I'm glad they have two of them.
Yeah.
I like Ferguson a good bit, actually. I think C is a little bit low on him. My grade would probably be like a B minus on Ferguson and then a C on Schoonmaker. I like those guys.
All right. Defense, real quick. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about on defense because it's kind of obvious what they're good at and what they're not. Okay. Let me tell you, let me take that Rams analogy to the next level here. I mentioned that late 90s, early 2000s Rams defense loved to get pressure off the edge, pressure on the quarterback, and then ball hawk in the secondary is what they love to do a lot of. And then they tried to have sure tackling. Well, the Cowboys, of course, can get that pressure off the edge with Micah Parsons, and they've kind of even added back Dante Fowler a little bit to just kind of balance that other side a little bit. Um, they can ball hawk back there with Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs and cover some with those two guys. Those are decent cover guys as well. But then you get to safety and it's pretty weak back there. I would love to see them draft a safety, but what really bothers me about this defense is up the middle. I've been woofing on them for about 3 or 4 years now about being soft up the middle. They addressed it a little bit with Mozzie Smith, but he hasn't panned out yet. So until he does, they're still soft up the middle. I don't mind that they re-signed defensive tackle Odigizua back because he can get pressure on the quarterback, but he's soft against the run. That's just not his thing. It's not what he does. So I would love, in addition to the other needs they've got, I would love to see them be a little more aggressive. It kind of seems like because Solomon Thomas is the guy they brought in, but he's an undersized defensive tackle, really. He's still more of a kind of get to the quarterback kind of a guy. So it almost seems like they have doubled down on, hey, get after the quarterback, create turnovers, which is fine when you're in the lead. But this is not the Rams' early 2000 offense. This is a pretty good offense, but it's not going to be number one, two, or three in the league. And so you're not always going to be in the lead. So when it's a close, tight game, teams are going to be able to push you around. And that would include the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey. That would include the Eagles every time you play them. There are several teams who can take advantage of that. So that still bothers me a lot. Austin, anything else here you want to talk about on this defense before we do a mock draft tonight, man?
Yeah, I'll talk about quickly. They lost their slot corner. And that's something I'm looking to replace because having a really nice slot corner is important in the modern NFL. And I would really like to get one that can run up and help in run stopping as well. There's a few of them in this draft that I like.
Agreed. I'm going to let you, because originally Shane was going to be tonight's GM for the Cowboys during our mock draft. I'm going to let you take that role over tonight. So I'll make some recs. But while we're still on this roster, go ahead and tell me some needs you're looking for. I'm thinking automatically, I've already mentioned maybe a tackle if we can get it, if it falls that way. You already talked about wide receivers, after Lamb, pretty big drop off there. And then I think you just said a slot corner. So anything else you're really after here?
Ben, this is a team that I don't think there's a single place you avoid.
Okay.
Um, Besides like center, which like
Yeah.
and maybe in just interior offensive line might be the only place I'm just
Okay.
like I don't care to upgrade it right now.
Okay.
There's no place that you can't get better in this draft in this for this team, and no place necessarily needs it super bad compared to the others. So to me, I'm just kind of going best player available for the whole board with the Cowboys.
Sounds good. What we're going to do tonight, I'm going to roll on over here to our audience. By the way, to our audience, if the sound is a little different tonight, whether it's better or worse, I'll either apologize or say you're welcome. Um, I'm not using my AirPods tonight. It is actually using the computer audio instead because my AirPods are charging up. So, using NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator tonight, we'll go ahead and pick up the Dallas Cowboys, set it on fast. Austin's already told me, Austin, you got this first round pick. Before I actually hit start on the draft, with that first round pick, if you're the GM, what are you really kind of hoping to bang out here based on what you already know about this particular draft?
Just with this first pick or just in
Just
general?
with the first one, yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of praying Ashton Genty.
Okay.
But if that doesn't happen, I've done enough mock drafts at this point. I'm pretty comfortable with the Cowboys. I know a range of players we're gonna get to, and I like them.
Agreed. Let's get into it, man. All right, I'm gonna hit start here. We'll let the computer do its thing. Not taking any trade offers tonight. Real quick, let's talk
Very
about what the
nice.
computer did here. And yeah, Jinty's here. Ward and Sanders go 1-2, and then you can, if you're in the audience, you can see what starts to get taken away from us before we even pick here. So, all right. I'm totally happy with Ashton Genty. Let's see what else is sitting here available. I would love Kenneth Grant.
I
Uh,
would love Kenneth Grant too. Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Um, I would love Williams or Stewart, but not as much as Grant or Jonty. And then I would love Starks as well, but not as much as Grant. So I think that's where I'm going to sit. Um, for me, it's Grant, but I love Ashton Genty as well, and that's where I'll stop at here in the first round.
Yeah, can you see what if is Jahad Campbell on the board as well? He would be another player that I would.
He
Yeah,
is
he's another
there.
guy I like around this
Absolutely.
range too, but definitely not over Genty and probably less so than Grant as well. I think we just rip Ashton Genty here though.
All right, let's do it. Before I hit that button, and before you actually know what's available in the second round at pick 44, now that we got the running back in house, it's actually a really good running back room now, right? Because you've got this
Yes.
high end ceiling with John T, plus two other pretty, yeah, decent contributor guys, right?
hmm
All of a sudden, you got a nice running back room. What would you hope now at 44 to hit again, based on what you've been studying so far?
I really like the defensive tackles that are going in this range. There's a few
Okay.
guys here that I'm hoping can fall, and there's actually an edge that is a really good run stopper that I wouldn't mind if he falls, but he's probably not going to make it this far down the board.
Okay, fair enough. We'll keep an eye out for that. Let's hit John T. It'll take the simulator a second here. Okay, let's see who went right before we started picking. Okay, so Uman Milan goes to the Bears, Simmons to the Saints, Tyleik Williams to the Bears again, Walter Nolan goes to the Jets, And defensive tackle Sanders from South Carolina goes to the 49ers. Okay. Where do you want to start at, man? What room do you want to look at here before you actually tell me what you would like to do?
Well, first off, if Omari and Hampton makes it this far down the board, a crime should be committed. Uh, if I know Omari and Hampton's going to be available on the board, I'm doing Kenneth Grant round one and taking
Okay.
Omari and Hampton here. I just want to put that out there. There's no reason Omari and Hampton's not a first round running back. But let's see the D lineman.
All right. By the way, those of you in the audience, and I like Hampton too, but I don't like Hampton as much as Austin likes Hampton. Austin loves Hampton, which is totally fair because there are several people out there who do. And which, by the way, I would agree with because dang it, this is the aggravating part of the draft, right? You don't know what's going to be there. If we knew, because I would too, if we knew Hampton was going to sit at 44, I would grab Grant so fast at 12,
Yeah.
and then I would be thrilled to get Hampton at 44.
Yeah.
But it's possible when you're trying to play mind games, right, that you get neither guy, you know,
Yes.
and you don't get jaunty because you're trying to play games, right?
Right.
So it drives people crazy. Okay, D line. There's Alexander and Collins are still sitting there. I'm gonna move over to edge. Landon Jackson, Sawyer, and JTT getting thin there on the defensive line. I'm gonna run over to safety. Eamon Worry is gone. Um, Cornerback Azariah Thomas and Trey Amos sitting there.
And
Uh,
Benjamin Morrison.
and
I,
Morrison.
I like Morrison a lot.
Linebacker Schlesinger and Knight. Tackle Ursery and Williams. Getting a little thin here at 44 compared to what I was hoping might be sitting there other than Hampton. Um, it didn't quite break the way I was hoping here. Uh, and then wide receiver Abuka. I am an okay. I want to give you a recommendation. Dang it. All the players I was hoping were going to sit in here based on us taking John T are not here. So
Mhm.
there are players I really like. Dang it, I'm looking further down than that. The random computer thing kind of screwed us over here, to be honest.
There's a couple names I like.
Okay, the out of all the stuff the Cowboys could use, Zabel is my favorite here. After that, I like Io Manor here at wide receiver. I think that was it. Out of everything I saw, I was really hoping more defensive linemen would be here at 44, honestly, than what are in this particular mock. But out of everything I'm seeing here, based on the fact we already took Jonty, it would be Zabel or Ursery as my Rex. Okay. Go ahead and hit us with it. What you're thinking and what you want to do.
So, like I said, I'm thinking best player available, which is Amarian Hampton. So we're scratching that. Next best player available is Emeka Ibuka,
Okay.
and he is a beast. But I also am a big fan of Alfred Collins on the D line. Big boy, like 335 pounds
Yeah. Yeah.
on the interior, and I really like this player. So that's where I would go if I'm like fishing for need. But Ibuka's on the board. I hate going. I love it secretly, but I have to pretend like I hate going skill player, skill player. Um, Internally, I love it, but like I have to project forward that it's a bad thing because that's not what you're supposed to do. But yeah, I'm going to Mecca Ibuka here. I mean, he instantly becomes he's the perfect number two. I think he's not this dominant outside guy. You've got that in CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb can also go in and play the slot, but Ibuka, I'm fine sending it on the outside. He's not a slot only guy. He's just a primarily slot guy, which I think is a difference that a lot of people don't pay attention to.
That's true. And I'm totally happy with Ibuka here. Two quick things I will say. Every year in the draft, and we never know who because teams don't tell us. We don't get to know who. Every year in the draft, there are teams who think they have a good plan worked out, and it all falls to pot because it didn't work out the way they planned. Now they've got all their backup plans lined up, but nobody wants to be sitting on plan number 8. Okay, nobody wants to be sitting there because that means all the stuff you thought wouldn't happen did happen, right? So nobody wants to be using plan 8 on your first round pick or your second round pick, but it happens every year. And you just have to go with your board. The other thing is we are going to do obviously, because you decided two offensive players here, 7-on-7s. I have another team that I'm doing on a different show tomorrow night where I really want to focus on defense. I mean, it's all, but boy, if the draft breaks a different way, you better know we're going to take two offensive guys
Mhm.
because we're prepared to do that if we have to. So it happens. Um, we've done all right. So we've done two 7-on-7s. Before I click on the button and we get to pick 76, okay, our third round pick.
Straight down one.
What would you hope to accomplish with pick 76 here?
Um, Best defensive player available, I'll just
Okay.
say.
All right. Let's hope, man. Let's figure it
Someone who can tackle, like a
out. Okay.
good tackling defensive player is what I'm looking for. They can be a really good tackling corner, a good defensive tackle, or an edge rusher who is solid in the run.
Okay, look, the best tackler I've seen in the draft so far, and I haven't studied everybody, is Demetrius Knight, the linebacker from South Carolina. He's not flashy. He's
Mhm.
not, but he's a outstanding tackler, really. But listen, that's not safety and that's not defensive tackle. So, all right, let's hit it, man. Ignoring trades tonight. Let's move around, look around, and see. Defensive line: Norman Lott, Farmer, Edge, Birch, Oladejo. Safety: Winston, CB. Boy, it drops off at CB in my head. Linebacker: there's Knight sitting there. Tight end, just for kicks and giggles, there's Taylor and Fannin, who I like, but I'm not really in the mood to draft tight end for Dallas when I got other things here, to be honest. Tackle, Cameron Williams, Emory. I actually like Emory Jones at guard. I do not like him at tackle, but again, not at this spot. Okay. We don't need a running back. Wide receiver, uh, Bond is sitting there. Okay, look, before I actually make my recommendation, we've already gone two 7-on-7s, and you and me like Isaiah Bond.
I
W-
do.
Would you do Isaiah Bond here?
Not after this, but like had we gone
Yes.
other places earlier in the draft, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's an easy one, but okay, but not after doing our first two offensive players.
No.
Okay. All right, but I'll tell you what. Dang it. I like Savanea and Bo here, to be honest. I do like that. I like Winston. I don't like anybody at cornerback at this particular spot. I like Knight, but not as good as another player I already saw. Mm, Oladejo. Okay. I've seen about four players I like here that I would be happy with, considering how what we've already done. But I think I'm gonna go back to Kevin Winston would be the guy that I would personally be after. Love the athleticism. I think he gives juice on the back end to what the Cowboys could use at safety. That would be my recommendation. But there's actually about four guys here I like. So take it away, man.
Um, Let me just see. So there are a few guys on the front, defensive front that I liked. On DL, I'm a big Josh Farmer fan. I watched him a lot as a Florida State fan, but when I talk about guys who can tackle, when he's got the strongest hands in this class, I think. Like when he gets
Okay.
his paws on you, you're probably going down, which is a really something I appreciate from a defensive lineman. Just get when he gets a grip on a guy in the backfield, he can pull him down really easily, which I love. And then Oladejo on the edge is a fantastic first and second down pass rusher
That was one
because
of my four. Yeah.
he's a monster in run defense off the edge. He can set a really strong edge, and if he ever tries to actually go in and make a tackle up the middle, he absolutely can. He's a big boy, and he has a really limited set of pass rush moves that need to develop. But man, for his ability to tackle and kind of be a really strong early down guy, I like him a lot. So I'm between Olu Oladejo and Josh Farmer here. Um, Let's go Oladeju. Oladeju, why not?
Okay. I like it. No, man, I like it because I like Oladeju as well. Okay, so final thoughts on the draft, real quick on my side, because again, we were tight on time tonight, so we we put together a tight episode here. This is not the way I wanted the draft to break. If I'm Dallas, it just isn't. But considering the way it did break, and considering the fact that we wanted Jonty in the first round, I'm happy with what we're getting here. I was really hoping to use two of three picks on defense, but at 44, the guys I wanted weren't there, and
Mhm.
so I'm
Yeah.
happy with Ibuka. And listen, I'll be honest, based on what we've seen out of Dallas last year and this year during the off seasons, I'm not sure they wouldn't be happy to do this because it kind of feels like this is the way they want to play anyway. Is just
Mhm.
rack up the points, get after the quarterback, hopefully play from the lead. So anyway, man, I like it. Final thoughts on the draft here.
Yeah, it's obscure maybe, but not bad. Like you can't be mad when these two guys fall into your lap. They shouldn't be there, and that's why you're drafting them, is because like I said in the beginning, there's not necessarily a glaring super massive hole that I need. I'm happy going best player available. And those first two picks, we absolutely just went best player available.
Right.
Besides Marion Hampton, who we just drafted running back. So best player available twice in a row, getting two. I would consider probably the best offensive player in the draft in Ashton Jonty, and then the third best receiver probably. So yeah, this is fantastic.
Okay. I like it as well. I actually think the Cowboys would be happy with this, even though I'm not totally sure all the Cowboys fans would be if considering their hopes heading into the draft, is what I'm considering. All right, real quick here before we knock it off, man. We're sitting here pick 149. Anybody here you still like if you're the Cowboys without even making a pick? You just want to run through real quick?
Yeah, I mean Billy Bowman stands out to me.
Okay.
Really good safety out of Oklahoma. I just watched his tape. I like him a lot. So
Okay.
that's if we're looking safety. Show me the corners real quick
Yeah.
for DB's purposes. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of any of those guys.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, I mean, Bowman's probably the best DB. We were just talking about Ricky White before the show. He's on the board. I haven't gotten him his tape yet, but
Okay.
I've heard some good things about him.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's where we're going to wrap up, man. Really appreciate it. We miss having Shane tonight. I assume he's either having extended work or internet problems, one or the other. Um, so we really appreciate everybody watching tonight. Anyway, thank y'all, everybody. This is the Dallas Cowboys. We got more stuff coming up. I think we're going to be off next week, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. Austin, any final thoughts on anything at all tonight, man?
Well, good show. Weird without Shane here. I miss you, buddy. But I think we did a pretty decent job for being down a man.
I haven't made this offer in a while on this show, but if you're a Cowboys fan and you want to hop on here in a week or two before the draft starts and you want to do a show with us, hop on, man. We're more than happy to have you. Hit me up in the comments or hit me up on the X at Ben Park 79 at Ben Park 79. More than happy to trot you on out here and get your pearls of wisdom for sure. But if you're anybody else, you want to hop on do a show with us, put your thoughts out there for all the world to see, man. We're more than happy to have you be a part. So anyway, a little bit of a rush show tonight, so we apologize for that. We appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one. Bye.